For my project, I did the PS2 communication protocol. So my idea was to use the PS2 communication protocol to interface with a keyboard with the FPGA, and then to take two-digit positive integers entered by the user, and then as well as an operation to be performed on them to create a calculator. The four operations I did were addition, subtraction, multiplication, and integer division. So an overview of the PS2 is that it's very similar to the I2C and SPI and the state machine that it did with kind of an idle and then a transmit or receive. It's also similar to I2C in that it has two wires, data, and a clock. Then it is a serial stream of data that contains packets of 11 bits. There's a start, stop, parity, as well as 8 data bits. So overview of the Verilog side of the PS2 system is it contains a FIFO system for sending out the data. There is a receive module that detects the falling edge, then shifts in and assembles the serial bits that have been sent to it. And then finally there's a transmit module. It uses a tri-state buffer to allow communication both ways. So overview of the header file that is written by Pengxu. So for the mouse routine, it reports the X and Y movement in 2's complement, and then the left and right click. The X and Y movement is reported in a range of -255 to +255. This value is based off of the change in movement done by the mouse since it last reported. Then finally there's the keyboard routine. It returns the make code of the key that was pressed, and then depending on which key was pressed, it uses a table to report the character to the user. So the first of my functions was what I just called calculator. This is basically what would be called in a while loop in order to repeat this over and over again. So it has a an array of characters that's 5 data bits long, and then so basically it asks the user to enter a 2-digit number. It gets those numbers, and then it presents the operations available, and then the second number is entered, and then it does the math, and then finally displays. So the first number, or the first function, is the get hex, which basically just returns the character of whatever key was pressed. Next is the get numbers function. This function basically takes whatever the character value was of a number and returns the int. Next up is the math function. This uses the get numbers function on each of the two couples of values that was entered by the user to get them. So for the tens place, it gets it and then multiplies it by 10, and then it adds the ones place to it. And then the final part of this is the actual operation, which uses a case statement to figure out which operation needs to be done and then executes that and then returns the result. Finally is the display function. This takes in that number and then appropriately sets the 7-segment display to display it correctly. And then finally, here is a video of the device working. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for watching.